Alright, so I just downloaded a copy of Principia Mathematica by A.N. Whitehead and Bertrand Russell. So I'm going to read this part of it here. Principia Mathematica was first published in a run from 1910 to 1913. This is the fifth impression of the second edition of 1925 through 27. The Principia has long been recognized as one of the intellectual landmarks of the century. It was the first book to show clearly the close relationship between mathematics and formal logic. Starting from a minimal number of axioms, Whitehead and Russell display the structure of both kinds of thought. No other book has had such an influence on the subsequent history of mathematical philosophy. And that may well be true. So scrolling down to the first real page, second edition, Cambridge at the University Press, 1963. So this is, it's like, the fifth reprint of the second edition. Okay, preface. This first paragraph is the part that... Keep in mind, I have previously looked at page 362 of this, the claim that they proved that 1 plus 1 is 2, and I don't buy that claim. So here, the preface of the entire book. The mathematical treatment of the principles of mathematics, which is the subject of the present work, has arisen from the conjunction of two different studies, both, in the main, very modern. On the one hand, we have the work of analysts and geometers, in the way of formulating and systematizing their axioms, and the work of Cantor and others on such matters as the theory of aggregates. On the other hand, we have symbolic logic, which, after a necessary period of growth, has now, thanks to Peano and his followers, acquired the technical adaptability and the logical comprehensiveness that are essential to a mathematical instrument for dealing with what have hitherto been the beginnings of mathematics. Arrogant much? From the combination of these two studies, two results emerge, namely, 1. That what were formerly taken, tacitly or explicitly, as axioms, are either unnecessary or demonstrable. 2. That the same methods by which supposed axioms are demonstrated will give valuable results in regions such as infinite number, which had formerly been regarded as inaccessible to human knowledge. Hence the scope of mathematics is enlarged both by the addition of new subjects and by a backward extension into provinces hitherto abandoned to philosophy. So I want to go back a little bit to that sentence there. From the combination of these two studies, two results emerge, namely, 1. That what were formerly taken, tacitly or explicitly, as axioms, are either unnecessary or demonstrable. This was actually written by Whitehead and or Russell. And I noted the year that this was written, first published, 1910, because that has relevance. So if we go to Wikipedia, Hilbert's program, the article on Hilbert's program. I'm going to read a little bit about this. In mathematics, Hilbert's program, formulated by German mathematician David Hilbert in the early part of the 20th century, was a proposed solution to the foundational crisis of mathematics, when early attempts to clarify the foundations of mathematics were found to suffer from paradoxes and inconsistencies. As a solution, Hilbert proposed to ground all existing theories to a finite, complete set of axioms and provide a proof that these axioms were consistent. Hilbert proposed that the consistency of more complicated systems, such as real analysis, could be proven in terms of simpler systems. Ultimately, the consistency of all mathematics could be reduced to basic arithmetic. This is almost definitely the basic goal of Whitehead and Russell's Principia Mathematica. And it's important that it was first published in 1910. Because the next paragraph in this article about Hilbert's program, the first sentence, the first word, is going to clarify why. Gödel's Incompleteness Theorems, published in 1931, showed that Hilbert's program was unattainable for key areas of mathematics. In his first theorem, Gödel showed that any consistent system with a computable set of axioms which is capable of expressing arithmetic can never be complete. Oh, here we go. Let's go back to the preface real quick. The preface written by Whitehead and Russell. Go back to that sentence. From the combination of these two studies, two results emerge, namely, one, that what were formerly taken, tacitly or explicitly, as axioms are either unnecessary or demonstrable. That, sir, is bullshit. These gentlemen are overstating what they have accomplished, and they are doing so massively that they not only failed to demonstrate that what they did worked, but they claimed that it worked 20 years before somebody was able to demonstrate that it's impossible to make any such system work. So they're charlatans. Unabashedly, unadulterated charlatans. Necessarily. Now if we go down Hilbert's program here a little bit, statement of Hilbert's program. The main goal of Hilbert's program was to provide secure foundations for all mathematics. In particular, this should include a formulation of all mathematics. In other words, all mathematical statements should be written in a precise formal language and manipulated according to well-defined rules. Completeness. A proof that all true mathematical statements can be proved in the formalism. Consistency. A proof that no contradiction can be obtained in the formalism of mathematics. This consistency proof should preferably use only finitistic reasoning about finite mathematical objects. Conservation. A proof that any results about real objects obtained using reasoning about ideal objects, such as uncountable sets, can be proved without using ideal objects. Decidability. There should be an algorithm for deciding the truth or falsity of any mathematical statement. Okay, these sound like good things here, right? Well, Gödel's Incompleteness Theorems. Kurt Gödel showed that most of the goals of Hilbert's program were impossible to achieve, at least if interpreted in the most obvious way. Gödel's second incompleteness theorem shows that any consistent theory powerful enough to encode in addition and multiplication of integers cannot prove its own consistency. This presents a challenge to Hilbert's program. It is not possible to formalize all mathematically true statements within a formal system, as any attempt at such a formalism will omit some true mathematical statements. There is no complete, consistent extension of even Peano arithmetic based on a recursively enumerable set of axioms. A theory such as Peano arithmetic cannot even prove its own consistency, so a restricted finitistic subset of it certainly cannot prove the consistency of more powerful theories, such as set theory. There is no algorithm to decide the truth or provability of statements in any consistent extension of Peano arithmetic. Strictly speaking, this negative solution of the, yeah, that's German, appeared a few years after Gödel's theorem, because at the time the notion of an algorithm had not been precisely defined. Yeah. The aftermath is interesting too. I'm not going to read all of it, but I will read the intro to it. Hilbert's program after Gödel. Many current lines of research in mathematical logic, such as proof theory and reverse mathematics, can be viewed as natural continuations of Hilbert's original program. Much of it can be salvaged by changing its goals slightly, according to Zach 2005. And with the following modifications, some of it was successfully completed, and I'm not going through all of that. But I would like to return to Principia Mathematica by Whitehead and Russell and read that, or at least parts of that first paragraph of the preface one more time. On the one hand, we have the work of analysts and geometers in the way of formulating and systematizing their axioms, and the work of Cantor and others on such matters as the theory of aggregates. On the other, we have symbolic logic, which, after a necessary period of growth, has now, thanks to Peano and his followers, acquired the technical adaptability and the logical comprehensiveness that are essential to a mathematical instrument for dealing with what have hitherto been the beginnings of mathematics. From the combination of these two studies, two results emerge, namely, one, that what were formerly taken, tacitly or explicitly, as axioms are either unnecessary or demonstrable. What a crock of shit.